So I'm very happy that I now have the Dalarna. This is a ship that, well, continues on from one of my comfort ships in this game. The Halland is probably my favorite destroyer in the game. I just love the way the torpedoes work, and even though it doesn't have a smoke screen, oftentimes you can actually rack up a ton of spotting damage in the pan-European DDs. Since they don't have that smoke, you're more inclined to play in open water, spotting things, helping your team that way. And of course, the torps are a lot of fun to use. There is an enemy Halland as we see those torps scream past us. They're very deadly, but the Dalarna doesn't really get much of a boost on the torpedoes going from tier 10 to super ships, although they definitely do hurt destroyers early game like that. Easy 17,000 damage there. But the key here is the guns and a little bit of extra health. You get one more turret, and of course the best thing about these guns is actually the firing angles. So you can shoot all of your guns at such sharp angles that it actually makes your ship much tankier and a lot harder to hit. Although compared to some of the other gunboats, especially at the super ships tier, the Zorky especially is pretty amazing. The shell velocity and gun range isn't much to write home about. I'll show you the commander that I'm rolling with at the end of this video, but I've actually gone towards more of a gun build than my Halland. My Halland I've got basically kitted out for torpedo build, and I love it. It's so much fun to land that many torpedoes. But with the Dalarna, not really upgrading the torps too much. We'll talk about the alternate torpedo option in a second. I try to play it like a cap contester, a area denial kind of ship. Since its concealment is actually quite good at 6.1 kilometers, combined with the firepower, it's very good in those closer range situations. So we wrap up the C cap and we come back to B. This is a massive weakness for our team. And it's important to note that I actually went back towards spawn. As we hopefully are going to dodge these torpedoes, I went back towards spawn instead of cutting directly across from C to B. It's very, very easy for a DD to get trapped as they're crossing back towards some contested cap zone by not taking the safest path. Here we're radared by the Petro, but we're located anyway, so the enemy DDs probably know exactly where we're coming from anyway, and it'd be very easy for them to potentially ambush me. This way I'm a lot closer to my allies. I'm a little farther away from the support those enemy DDs might have, so a really, really big deal is just some small little positioning, things like that. Dalarna, while a very strong ship, doesn't have the most health in the world and definitely relies on that to maintain some sort of battle impact. Here, notice I don't shoot because I saw the smoke out of the corner of my eye. Saw the smoke come up from the Yamagiri. I knew I was in a 2v1 here, so I decided to just not shoot, maintain my concealment, and actually we get away with taking some damage, but we have a heal, and that's okay. If I would have shot in this scenario, I would have been permanently spotted by that enemy Halland, and then the Yamagiri would have had just free salvo after salvo into me. It would have been a great way to lose a lot of HP. Or potentially die if the Halland decided to actually take that fight. Even though Dalarna is a good gunboat, not many DDs are actually going to win a 2v1 engagement in just gunfights. So I really didn't want to take that engagement. I also happened to click off of my main monitor. That's why I went broadside for so long and I wasn't maneuvering. So quickly switch that back over to full screen and then we don't have to deal with that too much anymore. Catching the Venezia, it's a massive hit there. Trying to take him out before he's able to potentially spot me. Or I may take a huge hit from SAP. That is a big weakness of DDs against these Italian cruisers, so we gotta be careful. I really just am enjoying the Dalarna so far. This is actually my first game that I have it on my main account. You guys probably saw the video that I made on this ship when it was in early access on one of the test accounts that I have. But finally, my main account has the Dalarna, and we're trying to contest this B cap. It's gonna take me a while to actually catch it. But we do manage to find a Unicum. And yeah, this guy's just going to go down very, very quickly. Not too much of a contest there, but we're still in a bit of trouble. The enemy team could very easily win this one. They are a little bit ahead on points, but crucially on caps, they're quite a ways ahead. So I need to get this B cap soon. My team is fairly split up. The enemy team has potential for a little more focus fire. So unfortunately for me, this Condi is charging. I didn't actually know where he was, so I was trying to get some vision on the guys that would potentially be coming from the A cap. always something you want to be mindful of in a ship without smoke is, are you going to get surprised by a ship coming around a corner? Dalarna would not do well 6 kilometers away from a Condi, for example. So we're just going to try and run away and take this cap zone. Hopefully, if the Condi chases us into this cap, our Slava is actually going to maybe dev strike him if he's broadside enough. As you can see, we're actually hitting random torps here and there. I just kind of send them out. 15 kilometers range on the torps is extremely nice. They're just a holdover from the Halland. The alternates are 8 kilometers, reasonably quick, but not quite as fast as the 15 kilometer torps. But importantly, they do much, much more damage, but only 8 kilometers. So they're just all right. I don't really find myself wanting to use them. Unfortunately, the Condi actually got into the cap there. What, with 0.1 second left on the cap? That's pretty disappointing. So we have to deal with this guy. We have to run away. And I decide to open up. Potentially, he's going to get greedy and try and get some damage in on me by turning his turrets and turning his whole ship to turn the turrets a little bit faster. That opens him up to a broadside salvo from the Slava. Or if he stays angled to the Slava, our torps are there to give that crossfire. It's always nice to have the flexibility of providing some of those lanes of torpedoes. I almost view Halland and, well, now Dalarna 15 kilometer torps as a bit of a battleship salvo. Sure, it's really, really slow, but the dispersion or the spread is very, very tight, and they actually get to their target relatively quickly. That's one of the reasons I actually really enjoy these torpedoes, is you hit a lot of them, and it's quite consistent. I really, really do enjoy that. Finally, we managed to collect the B cap, and now it's just time to mop up the enemy team. I really enjoy playing like this. I feel like I have a lot of control over the game. I feel like I'm impacting and helping my team win the match. Notice, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, that we have 125,000 spotting damage. So we're actually helping our team a ton, not only by getting cap zones, but we're doing a lot of the spotting work that the long-range battleships and cruisers need. I found myself very frustrated today while playing. A lot of my battleships just didn't get spotting. It's very, very difficult to have an impact as a damage-dealing cruiser or battleship when nobody's really getting spotted. So playing that role can definitely help your team out a lot. Of course, Dalarna has a ton of damage potential as well. It's really, really fun to use. So I'm going to have to try out some different builds here. I really enjoy, and I've kind of settled on the torpedo build on the Halland. Dalarna, though, the main upgrade really does feel like these guns. So I really want to try out more of a gun build. Might even have to try upping the range, because that is one of the big downsides here, even though the DPM is pretty decent. I think it's only 11 kilometers, actually. There we go, the final enemy ship. First game in the books with the Dalarna. 133k is decent, but more importantly, base XP getting up close to 3k, and definitely a ton of battle impact. So like I said, really trying for that close range damage dealer with the guns specifically. Torps are always nice to have that extra long range damage potential and zoning and that kind of thing, but I'm really going for closer range here. As you can see, Fearless Brawler still taking concealment. The really one thing we're missing out on is Superintendent that I would like to have, but as you can see, depending on how you play, you might not actually need to get to that 4th heal. Main Battery and AA Expert giving us extra range would be really, really handy. Only 11.2 kilometers of range. That's definitely something I'm going to mess around with. We'll see. Maybe that extra range would allow me to farm battleships and cruisers a little bit easier. Although keep in mind, it's really, really nice to shoot at that Condi in that game and then go dark, undetected, the instant the Condi died. Where if I had the extra range, pretty sure that Bourgogne would have been spotting me because, of course, gun bloom. It only goes out to your gun's maximum range. So there's some benefits to having shorter gun range, although don't tell that to the Regulo. There are limits to how good short gun range can be. Don't think about it too hard, really. That's what it comes down to. Main battery, of course, we're going for gun reload here, concealment, pretty standard stuff, really. If you wanted to go a torp build, I think that would be totally reasonable, considering Halland is just so good. But really, it felt like Dalarna to me was more of a gunboat, sorry. But we'll see. Maybe I'll run this. But this is my Halland commander, just in case you're wondering what more of a torpedo-focused ship would look like. And with this special commander here, you actually get torpedo reload after a few hits, which is pretty amazing. 8 hits on torps, you get 5% reload. It's not too difficult to get one. And really, really good games, you can get multiple. But of course, only one special commander exists, so I'm going to leave it on the Halland for now. And that's going to do it. My first Dalarna game in the books. I really, really enjoy the Halland, and we're going to see how much I enjoy this ship. It might be a little bit too big and not as torpedo-focused, a little worse matchmaker. It might not be as fun as Halland is for me, but we'll see. Time will tell, but this is the next super ship I decided to buy. We'll see what the next one is. I'm going to hold off for a little bit, try and save up some credits again. These things are pretty expensive. I really appreciate all the support on the videos so far this year and all of last year. It was really amazing last year for me. I really thank you so much for that. And let's hope the new year is going to be really, really fun. Dalarna looks like a pretty good option if you're looking for a fun super destroyer that's a little bit more of a hybrid than the Zorky or the Japanese one, whatever it's called. Yamagiri, that's what it's called. Definitely somewhere in the middle, which is always nice to have. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.